What up, what up? This your boy G, your brother, your friend. Another episode of Cut Different. Today I got with me John the John. Made it seem like you bring out prostitutes sometimes, but that's not your thing.
That's not it.
No.
That's not it. Good morning and salutations.
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 That means you thirsty, right?
I am. I got my water right here.
Thirsty for knowledge.
Yeah, that too.
So another episode of Cut Different. This is going to be the beginning of a 5-part series about the construct of manhood, about the experiences of manhood, the battles, the journey, the enlightenment. You know what I mean? So we're going to get right into it. Mr. John. First, I think we attempted to do it before. Let's talk a little bit about manhood and what it means to us. There's a lot of definitions of what manhood is, what it means to be a man. And since you're the guest, we're going to get you to go ahead and break it down a little bit for us.
Okay. Manhood. How do you describe a man? What does society describe as a man? And how do young men or children grow into being what we believe to be manhood?
Yeah.
I feel like a man is a person who lives up to what they say. I feel like that's the easiest definition for manhood and being a man.
Yeah. Yeah, and for myself, I feel like that's good, by the way. For myself, I feel like manhood is what's always been put in me, like provision. You know, what can I provide? Can I protect? A lot of it was physical definitions.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much as internal.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of that, I think a lot of us have it confused because we focus so much on the external of manhood and not the internalized part of it, because that can easily, with men, we're taught so much not to deal with
feelings,
the inside.
Yeah, feelings and emotions.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in doing that, we cut off the mental side of manhood too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we say, well, we're not going to deal with those feelings, we also not dealing with those thoughts either. You know what I mean?
I feel that. I think as my growth as a person, I feel like I've been doing a lot of growth this year for sure. 2020 has been such a roller coaster mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for me too, in a lot of ways. I feel like being a man is just a way of thinking, the way of acting. It's the actions, it's the words, it's how you make other people feel as well.
Which shouldn't be viewed as you know what they call it now, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Like, how can that be toxic to be masculine?
Right. I mean, there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
I was, my cousin, he's in a part of the Alpha fraternity. And it's funny because one of his line brothers, me and him were talking, and he was just like, yeah, everybody has different sides of them, basically. Because we were talking about just like what made him become an alpha versus any of the other fraternities. It was funny because I was just like, yo, you're right. Everybody has a different side. Like, sometimes you might be an alpha. Sometimes you might be a sigma. Like, how traditionally they act. Or like a nu or an omega. It's different at different times. And I feel like that's like being a man.
I don't know what none of those are. I know what people have been promoting about alphas lately, but
okay,
I don't know the creeds or
the creeds. Okay, so basically, it's all the fraternities have like a generalization about them. Like the alphas are normally like intelligent, business-minded, you know, depending on where you're at, sigmas are different things to different people. A lot of times people think of them as like more nerdy, quiet, reserved people. The newts are more so like pretty boys. The omegas are like dogs. Just generally speaking, that's what people like see when they're like, oh.
So they the savages.
They're the savages.
So yeah, so to speak.
So to speak.
Yeah. I mean, and also what I meant with toxic masculinity as it's being promoted to us. You know, I feel like it's mixing manhood and masculinity with that predatory, you know, type of man.
Right.
The molesters, the rapists, the ones that only see women as objects of sexual satisfaction.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not manhood. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not masculinity. But that's an attack on
another person.
But a certain type of person.
I feel like society wants a man to be that a lot of the times too. I think society, especially as like a black man, society paints us as like these super dominant, super masculine, super aggressive people. And
which is to be confused with ignorance sometimes.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me you go to any hood or any like ghetto and see only that in that ghetto.
If you already have that impression in your mind, you will see that. But a lot of times, even in any impoverished neighbor area, you're dealing with a lot of ignorance too.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that his idea of being who he is I'm gonna take something.
Yeah.
I'm taking from the haves. Yeah. So you a mark. You're a target to me. So he's gonna look at you like that. But every man in impoverished areas don't look at everybody like that. I came from them areas. I didn't look at everybody as a target. I didn't feel like I needed to overexert myself, you know what I mean, in areas of aggression.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or assert myself to prove that I was a man to a certain extent anyway.
Right.
Because, I mean, I was just like most
you were still influenced by
I was influenced by what my idea of manhood was.
Right, and your surroundings.
Yeah, but it wasn't to the point that what they think going down there. It's a small percentage of men like that.
Yeah.
It's not like most men are like that. A small percentage. Just like when they say all church is bad. It's a small percentage of churches that y'all talking about. Y'all ain't talking about everybody church.
Right.
So y'all not talking about every man. Y'all talking about these few individuals that committed some heinous crimes or some heinous offenses to people.
Right.
And we're grouping everybody from that area.
Right.
Which isn't fair.
Do you think that plays into like racism in terms of media, like coverage? Going into like, if we look at that example, whenever we see that example on TV, that's how it's portrayed.
But if it's a movie about gangs and violence,
no,
the movie's
for
about.
Sure. But I'm saying like even like so simple as like news, like whenever you see
fake news,
as
my boy my boy called it fake news,
the orange man. Whenever we see that on TV, like in the news, if we look at a black neighborhood, it's not necessarily a good thing that's happening from that neighborhood.
No. I mean, good. Thank God that we had a resurgence of black excellence on TV, because we wouldn't have known that a doctor and a lawyer can live together and be married and have well-behaved children if it wasn't for the Huxtables.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We didn't know that there were black people going to college if we didn't have a different world. Bill Cosby was responsible for a lot of positive images of black people.
Right.
Did you hear that he had a psychologist on board, on set, every episode to make sure there was nothing negative about what he was showing on that show?
No.
Every episode.
I didn't know that.
Was always makes me raise an eyebrow when they make accusations against this type of man.
Yeah.
The type of man I saw look at the camera straight on and say, I can't die and leave the world the way it is. I can't die and leave black people in the position they are right now. A dude that came on to, like, he was at Howard Hall, Howard University in the hall, and he got up there and called all of us out. I can't see a dude being what they saying he is now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another target at masculinity. Like, to me, he was displaying manhood.
Right.
And I'm not saying he's innocent.
Right.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
We don't know.
I didn't drink a sip.
Nope.
You know what I mean? He didn't give me nothing.
And it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I know he's been convicted. Yeah. He is in prison. But far as what I knew of him, he was what most people, especially black, thought of when it came to being a father.
Right.
You know what I mean? He had his masculine trait. He had his tool belts. He had his athletic side. He had his intellectual side. He had his spiritual side. Like, he was everything you wanted, all the ingredients that you wanted into a man. He had those. He embodied those. And I felt like with that strong presence, again, that's always been attacked when it's this color.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where we at now with a lot of it. If you come off as a man, as I should do air quotes for that. When you come off as that, there's an immediate attack.
Yeah.
Immediately. I tried having this conversation about some things that I wanted to do with the podcast with women, and immediately, you need to have a woman on there. You need other perspectives on there, as if I was solely coming on here to just make my own, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just showcase my own perspective about everything.
Right.
But, and not knowing that every episode had other perspectives.
Right. Can we talk about that, though?
What?
About manhood and the role that women play in, like, raising a child into a man?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we can.
Why is that, I mean, we've discussed it before. I know me and you have discussed it before about how the woman's perspective or the woman's role in raising a child has been kind of, how do I say it? It's lacking a man's touch. Because most of the time we grow up in our society, you know, without a father.
Well, yeah, over 70% of black households are single parents. I mean, that's fact.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, there's a huge lack of a male's presence in it. But I don't think, just to address something that you didn't say, I don't think there's a one-sided blame on that.
No.
I don't think it's men's fault that we're not present. I think we have a huge responsibility in that, as well as women.
Yeah.
You know, they have a huge responsibility in that. But how can you teach people to love and commune together, live together, and blissfulness, as our ideals of blissfulness, you know what I mean?
Right.
How can we get them to do that, you know what I mean, constructively?
Right. And it's even systematic. Like,
absolutely.
Going back to, like, slavery.
Yeah.
Even going even further to, like hood houses.
Yeah.
Like, a black man couldn't be around in order for a woman to receive a subsidy.
Yeah. I was one of them kids in that environment. I remember my stepfather having to have all his clothes in my room, his shoes in my room. So when the inspection came, yes, they inspected everybody there and proved you had to live up under somebody's guardianship pretty much. They had to come and inspect. And they weren't coming to inspect if the house was kept clean, which is none of your business if I live here and you approve me.
Right.
Like, you weren't coming to make sure there was food in the house. If it wasn't enough food, and it wasn't an adequate amount of food in the house, it wasn't like you was going to bring more food.
Right.
What you was coming to see is make sure everybody that was in the house was supposed to be in the house. And if it was a man in the house, I remember some of the inspectors coming in my room like, "You got big feet. Like, are those your shoes?"
You had a size 13 in the third grade.
Yeah. Like, are those your shoes? Like, can you put them on for me? Like looking and talking to a child like that. Like, trying to make sure that there's no man in the house. And most of the time, it was our counterparts coming in. I don't remember any of the inspectors being black. You know, and, you know, we had to live with that. And that became normal for us in order to get what we needed, make sure our children can. And it's hard to blame a woman for that.
Yeah, you can't blame them.
Yeah, like doing whatever it takes to take care of your children. But that took away, every time you trusted that system, you stopped trusting this one.
Right.
You stopped saying that we can do it, or you stopped trusting me to be the man in your life.
Right.
And you started saying, well, hey, I know this check is coming. I know this housing is available. What can you do for me?
Right.
And that was the attitude when you know, with dating then. And now it's even more evident. It's almost like Janet Jackson's song was too soon. You know what I mean? Back in the 80s, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
As if I have to do something for you.
Yeah.
In order for you to show interest in me.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy.
Anytime you date someone.
Anytime.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's like, what can you bring to the table? And of course, a relationship is a partnership. Both parties are bringing something to the table.
Is that the first thing you should think about, though, when dating?
It shouldn't be. It is a lot of times for most people.
Most people.
But it shouldn't be. Because, I mean, let's think about it.
High percentage.
Society wants, social media wants people to be
right
in a relationship, right? People always think they need to be in a relationship. Like, I've dated women that have never not been in a relationship. Like, as soon as they get out of one, they're in another one.
When they're young.
My age.
But when you get past 30, most of them sound like they're doing everything they can do to not be in one. Yeah. With the expectations, a long list of requirements. Yeah. And that probably starts about 25, actually. and it gets worse and worse as they get older, and they get more single. And they get more, like, the amount of time they spend doing things that say, I don't want to be in a relationship, and then still have that as their hashtag, relationship goals. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You on girl trips every couple weeks. Yeah. You got a job that isn't ideal for a relationship. You're a travel nurse. Yeah. How you gonna be in a relationship for real? It's hard. It's just as difficult to be a truck driver and be in a relationship. Yeah. You're gone
all the time.
And did you know that what it is on that list? I haven't read it in a few years, but the list of occupations that get cheated on the most, like dentists, truck drivers. I'm like, how in the hell the dentist get cheated on?
the dentist don't work that much.
The Negro that clean your teeth, like he care about your smile.
That's it.
You out here cheating on him?
Do they work crazy hours? Like I'm thinking like 8 o'clock.
My dentist be out at 3.
Really?
they be gone.
Yo, I heard about a dentist going in the night shift, like for professionals that can't get off of work to go to the dentist.
Yeah, they got them 24 hours, but
he'd start at 5 o'clock.
It ain't one dentist though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Those are the offices that have multiple dentists, but most of them, like doctors and stuff like that, yeah, they have difficult schedules. But they get anybody that's a professional, any man that's hardworking,
gonna have a difficult schedule.
For some people,
yeah.
But there's the time I go to work. There's the time I get off of work.
That's true.
And I'm available to you after that.
Yeah.
And sometimes during.
Yeah.
But they say they want a hardworking man.
Man in uniform. Someone that you can see, they want to be able to see the representation. That they're attracted to men that are distinguished, that have money, that
success,
can provide, like all those things. But when it comes down to it, if your man is actually working to achieve those goals that you want,
8 to 12 hours a day.
But you can't handle not being around, like him not being around,
not being accessible,
and like, you know, it just depends on the person. I'm sure like he wants to be around you too. Like he's gonna make time for you whenever he can make time for you.
Right. But even, you know, trying to stay on, because there's so much there.
I know
it's so much there. Let's get back on manhood before these women. You know, these women be listening in the background. Like, what he say? So, to keep it on the topic of manhood, and like I said, this is the beginning of a long conversation to manhood. We're going to try to cover a lot of different details, and this is just the first show. And we're going to start talking now about, like, our experiences with manhood. Like, what taught you how to be a man? What experience gave you a sense of manhood? Like, when did you start feeling like being a man, like you were a man?
Well, I feel like I learned everything through sport. My whole life has been sports. From like when I could like barely walk, you know, I had like the basketball hoop in the living room watching Space Jam. So
the great Michael Jordan.
The great Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Your favorite basketball player.
I mean, he all right. He just never won, you know.
Yeah. Six rings and stuff. Yeah.
Never, no losses. Never lost.
He never lost in the finals. But so sport, like you learn life through sport a lot of the times. And I was privileged enough to have like my dad around through all of my childhood, and then like he was around most of my adolescence too, but then my parents got divorced. So, you know, I was able to grow and see things with him because he was my coach a lot of times too, playing basketball. He was my coach from like 5 years old up until I went to middle school.
So you got double.
Yeah.
Big up the pops for that.
Yeah.
A lot of men don't get credit for that. There's a lot of guys out here that spend that type of time with their children.
Yeah. Basketball, I mean, we bonded through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the thing. We would go, you know, once Mount Tabor Park opened up over here, we would be at Mount Tabor Park on the weekends. And shout out to my mom, too. I mean, she was there with me, too.
Oh, look at you.
They wanted
love to your mom.
Hey,
don't
man.
do it.
Hey, man.
Get off the precipice.
I had a good family unit. You know, I was blessed. I was blessed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, even having that experience, because a lot of guys never seen their mom and dad in the same household, and just to be blessed with that for even a moment was huge for you.
Yeah,
because you got to see the dynamics of two people working together and two people supporting you and caring about you,
right,
and taking care of you. So that's awesome. Much respect for that.
Yeah,
much respect for that. A lot of guys don't get to see that, and I think that a lot of times that comes into how difficult it is to be in a relationship with one person when you've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, how could I have a successful relationship if I've never seen it? Then you got with a lot of people that come from broken environments like that single parent household. A lot of people like, I want to have kids one day, and they're not even thinking about marriage.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is, no matter how great of a parent you think you're going to be,
right,
you're not thinking about what that child needs.
Right.
That child needs a unit.
Right.
That child does not need you being selfish out here saying, well, I'm going to go do the in vitro. And you know what I mean? I'm going to get inseminated, and I'm going to go have me a baby.
Yeah.
But that baby is going to go to school knowing that Jim Bob over there got mom and dad in the house.
Right.
And all the images on TV are going to tell them that it should be in the two-parent household. Mm-hmm. Even though some of them are swaying this way to reality, but the masses are always going to know that it should be a two-parent household. And kids know that you didn't make them by yourself.
Right.
So where's daddy? Where's mama?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, one of the fastest one of the fastest groups growing in America. I'll say that again, because I was trying to figure out how to piece that together. But one of the fastest groups growing in America is single fathers.
it wasn't. I think it's fastest growing because it didn't happen before.
It's always happened, but it happened by default.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't common at all.
No, it's not. But it is now.
Right. Maybe for every 20,000 single mothers, there was like one single man guy with a child.
Right. Yeah. And as the decades went on, that number started increasing and increasing. Yeah. I'm a single father.
Yeah.
To a girl, and that's another episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
You don't know my pain, brother. All I'm asking y'all to do is pray for me, and you can cash out me at $, Daddy need help.
Hey, we got the. We'll put your scan code on at the end of the episode in the episode notes.
Struggling daddy, $. But it's crazy that's a fast. It's like women have started to do what they've and some women, not all women, some women have started doing what some men have done
in the past,
like completely detach themselves from parental responsibility. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy now that that part is being attacked. Like just as crazy as 2020 is, knowing that we living through what we living through right now, that's crazy too, to have a non-emotional, non-nurturing, non-caregiving attribute type of woman walking around on this earth.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to know that there's women out there that don't care about that. They thinking about them, party, turning up. You know what I mean? And just like the guys were. And to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Being a father myself is like, how do you sleep
when you know your child's out there?
Knowing it's a piece of you not under your roof.
Right.
I said with TH too. I said roof. But under your roof. Like, how do you sleep knowing that your child is out there wondering where you at?
Right. They need you.
They need you.
You know it, and you're out not with them.
Yeah. That's hard. And I had one child in my house, and I had one child out. And that's hard. That's hard, thinking about that. So I could never just not care. I don't care if it's some months that it's just the money that I get to support. I'm sending it. Happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to.
Right.
I'll be glad when I'm off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't need anybody to tell me to do it.
Right.
At all, but, that's the way the system works.
Yeah. You're going to support your kid.
Absolutely.
Period. I mean, no matter what what society says, what the courts say. Like,
that's ridiculous. When you're dealing with a man, a boy looks at that a lot different than a man.
Yeah.
I was going to send money anyway.
Right.
Anyway, if not more than what you was talking about.
Right.
A boy look at that as a burden. Like, why I got to send money? Why I got to take care of my child? You know what I mean? It's your child.
Right.
So you got to suck that up. But at the same time, I believe the child support system is flawed.
Completely.
Is completely invasive and immoral. It doesn't care about the components of raising a child that matter the most.
Well, I mean, it's outdated and it's out of touch.
But that was another tool against black men too.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for somebody that doesn't have a problem obtaining employment and decent income to help support their child. But for somebody that's struggling to do it, because most black men aren't paying large amounts of child support to the point that
it'll be like $500 to $1,000.
Yeah, but if you're making $2,500 a month or $2,000 a month, and somebody taking $750, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Where I'm gonna live?
Right.
Where I'm gonna drive?
Right.
You know what I mean? Who I'm gonna date?
you can't date with that.
Who I'm gonna date for real?
That big old chunk, and then you're trying to live somewhere.
And I'm working 50 hours just to make that.
Yeah.
How am I going to even spend time with my child, which isn't mandated with the child support system? You got to go to court again in a whole separate case to do that.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing, I was on child support before I even got the darn DNA results back. Most men are. your first encounter with child support, you are paying on. They got a start date in there, and then they got another date for you to go and get your DNA test. Yeah.
What?
And it's usually after the start date of child support.
How you know it's your kid?
Hey man,
if you didn't know it was your kid.
Hey, I don't have no shame in my game. I don't been through that system probably like 2-3 times. 2-3 times, and they found out I wasn't a father. I was reckless.
Yeah.
You know, I was still a boy. I was reckless, and I made some questionable decisions with the women I chose to lay with unprotected, and I got myself messed up with child support early in life, and it was always, even when they find out it's not your baby, they don't give you your money back. Yeah, they keep that. Yeah, they keep that money.
It doesn't go towards like the child support.
It don't go towards your taxes.
Jeez.
You don't get a big check back for that. They just keep it. They just keep it. You charge that to the game. Yeah, it might be some guys out there that manage to get it. Like, you got to go through a whole bunch of red tape to get that money back.
Yeah.
But more than likely, you're not going to get it. And you're going to spend more money and time than it's worth.
Yeah, trying to get it.
So, you know, a lot of us learn to let it go.
Yeah.
And which isn't fair, because you already living from pillar to post. You need that money. But, nah, you don't get that back.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Nah, that's law.
Literally.
Yeah, that's law. So a lot of times, you know, and you know, you can grow bitter going through situations like that, being mistreated by the people that's you paying taxes too.
Yeah.
You supposed to look out for my interests too. I'm going out here voting. I'm working. I'm being an upstanding citizen. Yeah. I'm not breaking any laws, and my ass is handed to me every time I deal with you. So you can grow bitter with that, and then dealing with like horrible. I call these women baby mamas, the ones that their only thing in life is to make sure you're miserable. They got another word for that, but I don't talk like that no more. You know, it started with a B.
Yeah. And
they just ravel, and they only look at how to hurt you. Like, I'm paying child support and I still can't see my child.
Yeah.
Morally, it shouldn't take the court to tell you to allow me to see my child if I'm sending financial support.
Right.
If we agree, and a lot of times, I think the first process of that should be mediation. Get these parents sit down. Parents sit down, and let's agree to some stuff on paper right here.
Right.
It shouldn't be, well, you make this X amount of dollars. Well, no, they're not talking to you. When she calls and says she wants to get you on child support, they decide how much you should be paying, and that's it. Nobody talks to you. No, it's not based on what you can afford. It's based on what your income is. And I don't know who gave them these numbers. I really don't. But I felt like, again, it's not being, don't y'all think I'm bitter because I pay child support, because, again, I pay it faithfully, and I don't have a problem paying what I pay. I was seeing more, but they started mandating that. Yeah, they actually, if you overpay now, they send you the extras back.
The check back.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. But back to manhood.
Yeah, let's get back. Hey, that was a good topic, and we're going to get back to that another day.
Yeah.
But becoming a man,
yeah,
for me, through sport.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to go back to it. I got a little passionate.
It's okay.
Did you see the tears? The tears.
I felt it.
I hurt.
I felt it.
I hurt. But yeah, so and that was yours. For me, manhood was a lot of times it was guided by like television, and I was piecing together men in my neighborhood. Like, most of those were drug dealers.
Yeah.
Garbage men. Like, I was like, any dude that had a straight job, I thought they was like Bill Gates. I was like, you work where? You work at McDonald's? Oh man, Mr. Charlie.
Not McDonald's.
Mr. Charlie working at McDonald's, man. He respectable. He respectable, man. He come in with a clean uniform on. I was like, Mr. Charlie was the bomb, man.
Yo,
I had the highest respect for these guys.
I'm glad you championed something constructive, but that's crazy.
But you know, most of the guys I knew growing up, they didn't go to work.
Yeah,
they were still home when I got up. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, you know, the guys were drug dealers, or they didn't have any ambition, or they made some mistakes.
Or they getting a government check or something like that.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. But sometimes, most of the time, nothing. Mm-hmm. They were just living in the house, living off the whatever girl they were sleeping with that year. You know? And they were just home. Staying with their baby mama. So those guys, you know, they just sat outside all day drinking and smoking. And those are the biggest clients for, like, the drug deal, you know? So the little hustlers was around. They had cars. They had nice clothes. Yeah. And that became my biggest influence. You know, the first time I put my hands on dope, I was 8. You know, running packages from apartment to apartment in the projects. Somebody giving me $5, not knowing that if somebody like a rival or something like that caught me and checked the bag, they could have offered me. Yeah. They could have took it. Yeah. You know what I mean? They could have hurt me. You know what I mean? They could have did anything to me to make sure that transaction didn't happen.
And you got $5 for it.
And I got $5. So I was down to do that 3, 4, 5 times a day, just so I can go in the house and show my mama I got some money. I made some money for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and that began my journey in drugs were always a part of my life after that point. And those guys were my biggest influences outside of my uncle. You know what I mean? My uncle, my daddy was around whenever he wasn't in jail.
Right.
And I had those. So far as being a man, a lot of I had to piece together whatever you know what I mean, whatever I digested manhood to be, I was piecing it together from so many different sources. Yeah. And the most prominent was the drug dealers.
Of course, you saw it was in your face every day.
Right.
So, I mean,
every day.
That's your reality.
Get a gun, get some money, get some dope.
Right. What about, you said television?
Television, yeah. The guys I really thought were awesome, like Dr. Huxtable.
Yeah.
Mr. Brady. Mm-hmm. Man, I didn't watch Good Times. I hated that show because I was living like that. Yeah. I didn't want to see that.
Right.
Brady Bunch, they was going on vacations.
They were white.
Yeah.
They were white.
Well, they were white, but, you know, as a kid, you didn't really see the prejudice.
Right.
You seen a family with the dynamics that you wish you had living the way that you wanted to live.
Yeah. And I mean, other bigger black influences for family structure and dynamic came along after you grew up.
No, Dr. Huxtable was around when I was growing up.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, a lot of people from my generation, for sure.
Oh, like Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil,
but
man.
That wasn't his father.
It wasn't his father, but he was a father.
He was a father.
He was a father, and then he also added an additional child to his fatherhood.
Yeah, that's very commendable. And my hat goes off to any man that takes another man in. I mean, another man's kid in. Right. Like, when you can love another man's kid as your own, hats off. Hats off. That takes a lot. That takes a lot. And for me, you know, just like, but outside of all of those influences, I feel like we all the same. It's like when you left out here to try to figure out being a man, none of that matters. Age, gender. Well, gender matters if you're going to try to be a man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Race.
But race. None of that matters, like, you, because it's white kids out here feeling this now. Just like crack. When they put crack over here for us,
yeah,
they got some of that heat too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They became part of the drug war too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like where they planted all these things like the Lyndon B. Johnson administration and the special education influence in schools now. Like special education probably should be in schools solitary. Like they should be schools just for that.
For them, yeah.
It shouldn't be you taking a kid with behavioral problems because he didn't listen to the teacher all last year in 4th grade. In 5th grade, he come back, he in a special wing with a special kid that really ain't that damn special. I think the teacher is special for even doing that. But, you know, you had that, and most of those classes have black men in them, black boys.
Yeah.
It ain't every race in those classes like that.
But people, so like these doctors are diagnosing a black child like ADHD. It's not necessarily ADHD. It's just they're not used from a white perspective. They're not used to seeing a child with, you know, that could be easily distracted.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're used to seeing it.
They seeing it, but they're uncomfortable with ours doing that.
Yeah.
They don't think they know how to deal with ours being that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they know how to deal with children like that. And there's some lazy teachers out there.
There's a lot.
But you know, the special education project was put there as a way. It's like schooling for the inevitable, and then the inevitable is prison. You know what I mean? So that works hand in hand with the mass incarceration rate. Most of the people in prison are former
Special
students in special education classes.
Yeah.
We used to call them box classes. You know what I mean? Because them kids be in that box all day. You don't see them. They have a lunchtime on their own.
It's different.
They in the 10th grade and they walking in a straight line like they're in elementary school.
Still.
You know what I mean? Being treated crazy for nothing. And now they put some of those kids in regular classes, but they give them like some type of
parapro, like teacher.
No, they give them like some kind of certification. Like when they turn in their schoolwork, they graded on the curve. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially in Georgia, you're gonna see the No Child Left Behind grant.
Nah, this is a different certification when they got special conditions and stuff like that. They get graded on the curve a lot of times. Yeah. And I'm not a teacher, and I'm not privy to a lot of information in that, but talking to the teachers I know, from my understanding, this is what I'm telling you. I'm not saying this is so. I'm saying this is what I know about it, if that makes sense.
That's right.
So I don't want to quote somebody and have some teachers.
Like, no, that's not
that's not how it is. You don't know nothing. Perpetuating some kind of illness in the system, and you don't even know nothing. Like, come on here and talk to me then.
We know the system messed up.
Right.
We know that much.
Right. And I like what we're covering. We're covering different topics today in manhood. Like, all of this stuff matters, even though we don't want to stick on a certain topic about manhood. This is laying the ground floor for all the topics that involve manhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
all of this stuff matters, like your experience, his experience, my experience, all of us, even though they can be completely different, we all travel down that one road to manhood.
Right.
You know what I mean? What was your, so not having your father in the household? 14
years old.
At 14?
Yeah, that's when it started.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going into high school, and my parents were getting divorced, going, like, literally when I was transitioning into high school. So, like, the summer of 9th grade, prior to 9th grade year, that's when I was no longer in a two-parent household. Now,
let me stop you right there. How did you feel about your father immediately when during that situation?
You know, a lot of their issues were, like, covered up. So I wasn't really hip to what was going on, even in my own household. You know, it's different when you're a child, too. You see what they want you to see a lot of times. And, you know, you don't necessarily know exactly what's going on. And that's how I felt.
And that's where we fail as parents a lot of times, because if you give up, you're teaching your kids something.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot to do with, like, communication. Like, I understand now how big communication is in relationships.
Yeah.
And
Huge.
I feel like, I don't know, when I become a parent one day, I hope to be able to have conversations with my kids.
There you have it, ladies. John wants 10 kids. I'll give you his email address.
First of all. No, but, like, even watching TV now,
Right.
there are conversations with children between the children and the parents. You see that on TV.
Right.
We didn't have that when I was growing up.
It's hardly reality, right?
We didn't. My parents didn't tell me anything about anything. Like, I didn't know money. Like, of course, okay, my mom is an accountant. So, like, I had an account, I had like a little child's savings account, whatever, when I was growing up. But she didn't tell me nothing about money. Like, I don't know anything about money. I didn't understand our financial situation growing up. I didn't understand, anything like that.
Yeah, somehow we went from the teachers to we expected everybody to understand what we was trying to do. Like, we gave them the optics of it, but we didn't give them the lesson behind it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just like Instagram. You know what I mean? And that's crazy, but keep going. So did you get this big sit down of, like, we getting a divorce?
Yeah. So
how was that?
it was terrible. It was a Sunday morning and I was on my way to church and with my mom, and she like pulled over and we're just like, I don't know if you know already, but you and your, like, me and you and my father, my dad wasn't really in the house at the time. Like,
he was already gone?
Yeah, like, they weren't, they were separated, like, physically, in terms of, like, he wasn't in the house for like a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she dropped the ball on me. She's just like, yeah, we've been having trouble, and we're getting a divorce. And man, when I tell you I boo-hooed,
yeah,
like, I cried for like at least an hour straight in that parking lot. We didn't end up going to church. Like, that was the last time I cried.
Really?
Yeah. And like, since then, I mean, I had grandparents pass away. I had, a bunch of different stuff. Like, tore my meniscus twice. Like, I haven't cried since that day when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big right there.
Yeah.
So your dad never talked to you about it himself?
So
that's big, though.
Our situation, my mom ended up getting another house. My dad stayed in the house that we lived in. So eventually my mom left and was trying to get whatever house ready for us to live in. And my dad and me were living together. So it was maybe a couple weeks where me and my dad were just living by ourselves. So, and he was trying to get custody of me. She was trying to keep custody of me. Like, he was trying to have me sign some court document saying that I wanted to live with him. Like, it was a weird time. It was really weird because they were fighting over me. But man, I think I talked to my therapist about this recently. They were fighting over me, but it didn't feel like it was about love. It wasn't about wanting me. It was about, like, beating the other person in the situation.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of times, like, I was advised a lot to, like, go to court over my other child, the one that I pay child support for, the one that's not in the house, to go to court. And I've been that child in that situation before. That's not something you want to do to your children.
No.
That's not something that goes up so many roads of like, it just doesn't make you feel good as a child, to have your parents fighting over you like that.
No, and then making them choose.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, like you got to choose which one you love the most.
Yeah.
And they actually want you to do that. They just want, they don't want you to do, they want you to say it.
Right.
They want you to say it in court.
Yep.
They want you to say it in front of somebody that has the authority to place you.
Right.
And that's like, if I say that about you, yeah, I want to live with you.
Yeah.
But I want to live with her too.
Right. At the
I
same
want to live
time.
with both of y'all.
At the same time.
Like, why y'all can't get this shit right?
Right. Just figure it out.
So with that being the last time you cried, how did that, like, why do you think you stopped crying then?
That's a good question. If I think about it now,
better question for a therapist.
No. It's a very good question. I think that my reality completely changed at that point.
You became numb.
Yeah,
To a lot of different things.
Well, not that I became numb. I did kind of become numb. I was very emotional in high school too. I don't know if you noticed that from us interacting when I was in high school.
I told you before, I thought you was from a 2-parent household because you were so mannered. And I was like, this dude daddy got to be in the picture. I was like, so I never really I wasn't as mindful about the stuff that I said.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I needed to say certain things to you because it was like, he got it together. You know, somebody getting him together.
Yeah.
So I didn't notice that.
No. Well, it was, so like I said, it was like my reality it completely changed.
Some of your decisions later, I started questioning.
Hey.
But go ahead.
Hey.
I just had a quick thought.
Hey. So I think that's why I didn't cry. My reality changed so much. Like, I saw that you get let down in life. Like, things happen in life. And you can't, I don't think you can sit and cry. I don't like playing a victim.
Right.
I'm big on that. Like,
and you had to figure that out on your own, though. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I don't believe in people crying over spilled milk. Like,
did you talk to your parents about this feeling?
Which feeling?
Like that feeling. The feeling of I don't need to cry. No, the crying is not necessary.
No,
because that also makes you shell up some of your emotions.
Yeah, I mean, I dealt with those problems later in life. Like, I feel I've worked through those problems now. That, you know, I didn't express myself emotionally, like, at all. I would just bottle it up. I would never talk about it. I would never release it. I mean, I would release it by playing sports or like doing something else. Now,
there's a lesson in there. So, how did that affect you? Like, did that make you, like, looking at it now that you're able to deal with those things? Thinking back then, would you say that was like something that was hurting you? Not being able to show your emotions about a lot of different things? Oh, yeah. For sure. For sure. So me and my mom, I ended up living with my mom. You know, once you know, the divorce was final. She won, right? You know, I mean, women always win in court when it comes to children. A lot of the time, right? Almost every time, right? They got to be completely unfit to not be the parent. Exactly. But I had a lot of issues with, like, me and her. We had a lot of issues when I was, like, in high school. Yeah. A lot. Like, it got so bad that, like, she slapped me on her birthday. We were out at a restaurant in public, and I almost hit her back. Like, I reacted. Like, I almost reacted, and she was threatening to call the cops on me and all this other stuff. So I actually had my dad pick me up, and I ended up staying with one of my friends for like a weekend. It was like 3 or 4 days before I went back to the house. So your dad didn't even keep you? No, he didn't keep me. I mean, he might have kept me like that night or something like that. Yeah. But like, that was it. How old were you when that happened? 17. Yeah. 17. And you had a lot of repressed feelings and things like that. Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, it was always something, like, when you're growing up in a household with just your mom as a man, and, you know, she has some sort of feeling or resentment or whatever towards your father. Like, she would always be like, oh, you're just like your dad.
Like it was always that. It was always something in my ears. Like you're just like your dad. You act like him. You look like him. You do stuff like him. And like I hated that. That was like the worst thing for me. Period. It made me go crazy.
Yeah.
But
that's a lot of responsibility.
It was really, really heavy. Mm-hmm. And it was like anytime something was wrong, that's what she would say.
Never nothing positive.
It was never anything positive.
That's crazy. And that happens a lot in like single parent households, manned by women.
Yeah.
Like they take a lot of shots because a lot of their disdain for men comes from their experience with the kid's father. So a lot of things that they say openly in front of the children or to the children is always like this negative outlook that they have, you know what I mean, when it comes to men. And that's not good. Like when you're raising a man, like it's gonna, like for me, mm-hmm. I seen my mother throw dudes out. Yeah, I seen a lot of hefty bags being filled in my life. And that was one of my things. To this day, I probably got some issues I need to talk to. Ain't no black garbage bags in my house.
No way.
No, I don't do that.
The white ones.
Yeah, just the white ones or the clear ones. Like, I don't do none of those black garbage bags. I was like, that looked like move-out stuff to me.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want that. I seen a lot of my aunties throw guys out. They always had the trash bag. Y'all ain't have no suitcase? Y'all just always leaving with the garbage bag or the pillowcases? Like, you know, and for me, that made me not want to be a guy like them. Mm-hmm. That's why I worked so hard to not become that guy. But a lot of that I lost myself, and I had to come back to me. Like I lost the true essence of G. Like I had to figure out what I wanted and how I wanted to move that was comfortable to me, instead of like always trying to. You know, it's a big ego thing when it comes to manhood. Yeah. You know, that's such a fragile thing for men. You know what I mean? And for me, I didn't want to be the guy that get kicked out. And everything I did, I wanted some applause behind it. I wanted somebody to say, hey, that's a good man. You know what I mean? I wanted somebody to think. And a lot of times, I wasn't. Yeah. I wasn't because, one, I was only doing it for those reasons to get the attaboys, or for the reason that I wanted to feel useful. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in this world, if you're not being used, you're useless.
Yeah, that's true.
That's this world.
That's true.
So I needed my ego stroke. And in that, I wasn't being me. I wasn't going after what I wanted to go after until later on in life, because I needed to feel valid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You were playing the role.
Yeah, I created a character.
Yeah,
and that's what a lot of men do. We create characters of what we think manhood is, or what our identity in manhood is, to please the masses, to feel like, you know what I mean, we're the good guys, or to have them think so.
Right.
And a lot of times I use that to get girls. You know what I mean? Or just use that to have my mama and my aunts stroke my ego. Like, you doing something good in life.
Right.
You know,
why can't you be more like Gerald?
Yeah. Yeah. But Gerald wasn't being more like Gerald. You know what I mean? Gerald wasn't being Gerald at all. At all. I wasn't chasing what I wanted to chase, because I felt like, you know, certain, like what I do for a living now, I wouldn't have never chose that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have never chose that because that didn't come with enough applause.
Right.
It didn't come with enough income for them to feel like I was successful. Yeah. So I had to feel like I had to be the guy that owned the business or had a nice little truck driving job, whatever I thought was respectable and successful to them. I wanted to be that.
Right.
And I was never happy in that. I was never happy just being me. And a lot of guys have that. Like, guys, y'all chime in on that. Like, manhood, when you don't have the proper men in your life, you go down these roads of creating these characters of what manhood is. You start emulating or imitating certain guys and lifestyles that aren't the ones you truly want, but those are the lifestyles you feel that are valid and most respectable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't either choose not to or are unable to do what they want to do in life. I feel like that's just generally a lot of, like, most people don't do that.
No, and that's wild to me. Now that I've been living the way I've been living for the last 10 years, I couldn't imagine waking up being forced to be somewhere I don't want to be.
Yeah.
No matter how much money it was giving me, if your happiness is the most important thing, the things that you doing all this stuff for, because after you become a millionaire, you're gonna want a wife, kids, house. You're going to want to be a part of your community. You're going to want all of that stuff. That is stuff that you should start doing in your 20s.
Right. Started at least.
Yeah, started.
You
started
might not be able to
on,
do everything that you want to do.
And not even marry this woman or make kids with her in your 20s, but locate her.
Right.
Identify who this person is.
True. Whether it's an actual person or the idea of a person.
Yeah.
You know? You got to know what you want. I feel like that's the issue right now for a lot of people that are dating. Like, they don't know, you know, they can say, oh, I want this physical description of this person, but they don't know exactly how or who the person really is in terms of, you know, what do they do outside of work? Like, what do they do to better themselves on a daily basis? Like, all those other things that are intangibles.
And it's one-sided.
Yeah.
Like, you got this long list of what you want them to be.
But you're not working on yourself.
You're not working on yourself, one. And you thinking about the relationship one way. You want it to be one way. You thinking that this person is going to come in your life and blow your spot up. That she's going to be the bomb. She's going to be everything that you want in a woman. And you're not thinking about, well, she don't like vacations on cruise ships. I don't know why, because that's one of the things I love. I don't know why you don't like vacations on cruise. But anyway.
Right.
But she want to live, you want to live in this house that you already got. You want to live in this area that you feel most comfortable. You like working the way you work, but you're not comfortable. It's going to be hard for you to get out of that once this other person comes in. That's a whole nother personality.
Completely.
That's a whole nother list of desires and wants and needs.
Yeah.
And you can't. To me, long story short, the best way to deal with dating is just to meet somebody and accept them. Accept them and let them be them, and you be them. That's one of the things I learned looking at Will and Jada's issues over the last few years, and listen to some of the things I've heard them say about each other and to each other. That, you know, and I'm not an advocate for anything. All I'm saying is what I learned from these two people is accept who you chose. You know what I mean? If I choose to spend some time with you and get to know you, if you're getting to know somebody, you get to know them. You're not trying to interview them to see how they match up against this list that you got that don't make no damn sense anyway.
No, I mean,
I want to like you.
I feel like it's right. It's not it's not about a list or, like, you know, a cookie cutter person.
Yeah,
an avatar.
Yeah,
per se.
A lot of people are looking for that though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only way to be successful in dating is to experience life with that other person.
Just live with them.
Just live in
the same house.
Not necessarily live in the same house.
No,
that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about
you're going to end up hunching a lot.
We're talking about live.
Yeah, just live.
The things that you like to do, the things that they like to do,
and be okay with that.
And be okay.
Be okay. You don't have to stop liking what you like because I don't like it.
Right.
That can be something that you do by yourself or with friends that like doing that.
Exactly.
And I can do what I like by myself or with friends that I have enjoyed doing it with prior to you.
Right.
We don't have to do and like the same stuff.
No.
We just have to be able to coexist,
communicate what we do like and what we don't like about whatever that situation is.
Live and let live.
That's it.
Because I love you, that don't mean you have to change who you are to be with me.
I love you because you are who you are.
Stand on that.
Period.
Stand on that.
Period.
Like that's all that matters. And in manhood, you know, we getting ready to wrap up in a little bit. I will say, just to touch on something that I experienced in my first marriage. I had this idea, like, because I had those experiences when I was growing up, you know, growing up without a father, impoverished areas, and my idea of a great family was, and something else that I learned from Will and Jada, I had this idea of what the perfect family was. What my idea of a family wasn't my idea of family. My idea of family was the optics of it. You know, I come in from work, she cooking. You know what I mean? Down the fact that she had a 12-hour day too.
Right.
She should be cooking.
Yeah.
She should spend most of her time with the children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as if your children don't need you equally. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I sabotaged my marriage with my idea of what marriage is supposed to be. You know what I mean? And there's no way in what my beliefs are now that it says it has to be one way. But being a young man, I thought because of I came from brokenness, and I wanted the opposite of the brokenness.
Right.
And I thought that we
all just want to do better than our parents did.
Right. That's a horrible way to raise your children too.
Yeah.
That's a horrible way to raise your children, and that's a horrible way to gauge what you want in life, being the opposite of what your parents did.
I don't think it's about being the opposite. I think how I look at it, me personally, I love a lot of the things that my parents did for me.
All right.
I love it.
Well, you know I wasn't speaking on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. But I don't like certain things.
Right.
And I see how it's been a problem either in my life or in their lives or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to change that. Like, I don't want that for my future relationship.
But, you know, what I was saying was, when you raise your children or you have relationships with women as in a way kind of despite what you had, to spite what you had, or to say that I can do it better, or this is a better way, a lot of times that can become toxic. Because now I'm trying to force you to be the opposite of what I experienced. And that's why a lot of people, when people have expectations, that's solely based on their experiences. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. That's solely based on okay, somebody in my past. Like, I don't think you should raise your voice at me because John, you know, they used to raise his voice at me, and that's what tore up our relationship. So every time you raise your voice, I think, you know what I mean? I think about John.
Right.
You gotta let John go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the same thing with you know, my girl was spending time outside the home with her girlfriends, and that's making me think about the last chick I was with and what she was doing when she was out. She might have been cheating on you.
Right.
But you might have a girl that liked spending time with her girlfriends, doing stuff that you don't do. You don't want to do it.
Right.
So why you mad at her for wanting to do it still? That's time for you to go do what you want. Go discover you.
Yeah, what you like to do with your boys. Like,
go do you.
Same thing.
So you ain't even gotta think about if you love and trust your woman. Love and trust your woman. Don't worry about what Keisha did to you. Don't worry about what Tamika did to you. They ain't all the same, just like we ain't all the same.
Nope.
We got the same mechanical shit going on, but we ain't the same.
Nah.
You know, I am not my father.
Nope.
You are not your father, young man. You listening. You are not who made you. You are who created you. Let that sink in.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Don't let it go over your head.
No. God said you are created in my image and in my likeness. If he's a king, what are you?
Same thing.
And a king knows how to wear his crown.
Keep it straight.
Yeah. You know how to wear his crown. And we got to start doing better as men. One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to have a platform for men is, and I hope y'all all start paying attention, because we're going to follow up with these shows, and the next few shows are going to be about manhood and different discussions in the manhood. This is just the first show about it. This is just laying the plan for it. But one of the reasons is because, okay, everybody in the world is upset with black men. Everybody in the world got some grievances with black men. And you look on social media, there's something negative about black men.
All day.
All day long. And not just black men, all men, but particularly black men. It's something negative about us everywhere. And most of us, or half of us, are being led by women. What their idea of what they didn't have is. You know what I mean? Just as many of us that grew up without a father, twice or three times over the amount of them didn't have one either, and had bad experiences with men. How can their memes and their posts and their comments tell you how to be a man? You know what I mean? How? So this platform is to bring us up, man. We got to start doing better to come. You drive darkness out, not with darkness. In the words of Martin Luther King, you don't drive out darkness with darkness. We don't need to be sitting up there going back and forth with women about what it is that we are, or trying to prove that men ain't the way they're supposed to be. You drive out darkness with light.
We don't want no Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion situations over here.
I would talk about that, because all the music, most of the music that I hear from
Megan,
from women,
yeah, period,
and music right now is hoe music.
Completely.
They're teaching our women, this is the pool that we got to choose from now. Be half
girls,
naked.
City girls.
Yeah, yeah. That's not respectable.
Cardi B.
You not mama material. You not. I don't want my daughter falling behind you. I don't want my child twerking on Instagram, trying to get likes.
Right.
And perpetuating a lifestyle that you don't even lead your damn self. Half of them probably are respectable mothers in their personal life.
Yeah.
And business women in their personal life. And love the hell out of the man that they with in their personal life. But they teaching you how not to.
Just so they can make $1.
Yeah.
Beyonce. All day.
I mean, for the most part, even though I hate her little bikini outfits, she's covered up.
True. But what are the lyrics saying in her music? How has it changed?
I'm not one of the guys that listen to Beyonce.
I feel you.
So I don't know, for the most part, what I know about her or know of her. I'd rather my child listen to her than a Meg Thee Stallion or a Cardi B. You know what I mean? Or a City Girl. I'd rather my child listen to, her. Rhapsody. I think Rhapsody is an awesome woman. Queen Latifah is awesome.
Yeah.
MC Light, I think women like that are awesome. But they don't talk about women like that. Solange is awesome. They don't talk about women like that.
She doesn't sell. They don't sell.
No, right now the hoes are winning.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, fellas. I know some of y'all are Christian, and I'm Christian, but some things are what they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can't keep sugarcoating the problems in our society. But enough about women, about our men. Pull your pants up, man, when you need to. Sometimes we got to. I ain't saying walk around here with these tight. Look like somebody spray painted your pants on. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's more about the man. Like the man in you needs to start waking up. And we can't make excuses. Nobody's coming to save you. You got to get it together for you. You know what I mean? And for now, we want to start talking, having these conversations, and that's what I'm wrapping around to, This platform is for that. We're gonna get ourselves together. If you see another brother struggling with something, don't judge him.
Right.
Help him. Help him.
That's another issue in terms of manhood.
Oh, we're going to get into some topics, brother.
That's another issue.
We're going to get into some topics. I got a lot on that.
It's not a bad thing to help another man.
No.
In any way.
And it ain't a bad thing to accept this help, fellas. Don't let your pride keep you down, man. Don't let your pride keep you down. Don't just walk around here with your hands out and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And think that's acceptable. And that's why we shouldn't feed them. We got to learn how to feed men. You know what I mean? We don't want to cripple them. No, I don't want to just give you $5.
It's not going to help them.
No.
It doesn't.
Because that's teaching you can go to anybody and get $5.
Right.
I want you to learn how to, if I'm going to create a way for you to make $5 yourself. And this right here, that kind of sums up the show right here. We're going to create a way for us to be in our positions, in our community, in our homes, in our relationships. Because they want us, fellas. As much griping as they're doing, all them posts mean is that they want us still. They still need us. And you need you to be you too, man. So with that being said, John, you got anything you want to add to this subject?
Information, knowledge. Take what we're giving you. You know, not everything. Like we're both still learning and growing every day.
Absolutely.
And you know, everything we say might not be 100% true, or right for you. I think going back to the original question about manhood, what is manhood? It is so subjective.
To some degree.
To some degree. I mean, everybody's idea of a man is so different that, you know, there are certain foundational principles of being a man.
What are those?
We talk
protecting,
providing,
shelter.
Those kind of things.
Yeah, those things are important. You ain't the king of the castle if you ain't making sure there's a roof over their head. You ain't making sure that there's food in the house. You ain't making sure that ain't nobody. Yeah. You're not touching mine.
Right.
You're not touching them. I'll die before they do. Those are the mentalities of a man. A man is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good of his family, for the safety of his family. Now, if you cowered out of those situations, then we got more to talk about, brothers. We got more to talk about, and that's some areas of learning too. Because there are some times in my youth and in my younger days that I felt soft. I knew I couldn't protect nobody, and I was fearful. You know what I mean? And those are things that we can overcome. But y'all stay tuned, man. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and get this together. We're going to get us together.
Yes, sir.
Like, share, comment. Try to get as many men as you can in on this conversation. We trying to blow this conversation up. It's going to be a 5-part series about manhood. So, with that being said, these are my 2 cents. Save it or spend it. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with G.
All right.
You like that?
Hey,
I was about to freestyle. I was about to say throw on a beat.
Was that a Kanye? Like, did you take that from Kanye?
I don't even listen to Kanye.
He said it. He definitely said it.
Word?
He did.
Well, yeah. I think that's a little bit older than Kanye, though.
It's definitely older than Kanye.
Yeah, it's a little bit older. I know I've heard that in early days of real hip-hop, but I ain't going to say nothing about y'all. But this is the episode of Cut Different. Hashtag Cut Different on all platforms, social media included. Like, comment, share. Y'all be blessed. We out.
Woo!